Zen is not a feel-good practice. It's the art of sacrifice, but not the kind you think. It's about letting go of the small, separate self and merging with the big self, the vast, divine ocean of our true nature. In this video, I will say something about how Zen teaches us to sacrifice our personal desires for something greater, something universal. Before we dive in, please consider following this account, and if you want more of these insights, subscribe to my free newsletter. The link is in the description. Hey, I'm Christian, I'm a friend of the way, and I have been practicing in the Zen tradition for some time, and now I share insights to inspire your spiritual journey. Everything is always only about us. Whatever happens, we take it personally. Whatever we do it because of ourselves, because of what we can gain from it. When we look at the world, we don't see it just as it is. We see it as we want to see it. It's always only about our small self, our separate sense of self, our personal I. If we look at it carefully, we can see that we are purely motivated by what we think is best for ourselves. Even if we don't want to admit it, we reduce everything to our best interest. And when we do something for someone else, we only do it because it gives us a nice feeling, or because we think that it's the right thing to do. Every motivation truly comes from our I sense, from our small self. Through our upbringing, we have learned different strategies on how to get what we want, but in the end, they all come from the same motivation: what's best for us. Sometimes these motivations can be more pure, like wanting food when we are hungry. And sometimes they can take on very unconscious forms. We may feel angry all the time, or we feel sad all the time. Not because we are forced to, but we unconsciously want to feel that way. When we go through our lives, we are bounced around by these personal wants and desires. Have you ever done something that had no purpose at all? I mean, we wake up in the morning and we put clothes on. Why do we do it? Because we want to feel warm, and maybe also because it's socially appropriate. Then we brush our teeth. Why? Because if we didn't, it would inflict too much pain. And we don't want to feel this pain. Then we have breakfast. And why? Because we want energy. Then we leave our home to work at the job. Why? Because we want the money to keep repeating this pattern. Then we might go into spirituality and do certain spiritual practices. Why? Because we want to feel good all the time. Have you ever wondered who you are doing all this for? It's all about the I, the me, the mine, our small and separate sense of self. Our whole life is a reaction to what this small self wants. This way, we are not free. We are only products of our wants and desires. There is this idea of sacrifice in spirituality. It has been around for a very long time, and it's a very misunderstood concept. It's derived from the two Latin words sacrum facere, which basically means to make sacred. Not such a bad concept at all, right? To make sacred. Most people live in the delusion that we are not already complete, whole, or divine, because we have seemingly separated ourselves from the source, from the Godhead, from our Buddha nature. And we also think that everything else is separate, incomplete, and profane. Like a wave that has risen from the infinite ocean, we only identify with the wave. We take this little wave which is basically the small self in this example, to be its own thing, separate from the ocean. The illusion is that this wave has been cut off from the ocean, that it's apart from it, and now it tries to survive on its own. Compared to the vast, infinite, divine ocean, the wave is incomplete, separate, profane, mundane, and ordinary. So how can we reunite the wave with the ocean again? Since the wave has always been part of the ocean, made from the same substance as the ocean, there is nothing we need to do except to let go of the idea that we are separate. We sacrifice the wave for the ocean. We sacrifice the profane for the divine, the relative for the absolute. We sacrifice the personal for the impersonal. So how can we apply this wisdom to our lives and to our spiritual practice? In Zen, in the lineage I was trained in, there was a great deal of chanting. We would basically stand or sit, holding a chanting book with the text in our hands, and chant the words out loud to the sound of the moktak, which is a wooden instrument used for creating a rhythm. With the exception of the Heart Sutra, which was chanted in the native language, the other texts were in a mix of ancient, Korean, and Chinese language. This means that we would basically chant words we had no idea of what they even meant. And their meaning was of no importance at all, because what happens is this. Instead of being busy only thinking about our small self, fantasizing about something, regretting the past, dreaming about the future, or just staying in delusional thinking, we would orient our awareness toward the chanting of these texts. There is really no purpose in chanting these texts. There is nothing to gain from it, and there is no reason why our small self would ever want to do this. And that's exactly why it's so powerful. We would sacrifice our small self for something other than that. From our selfish thinking mind to the proper chanting of these words in harmony with the rhythm and with the others who were chanting as well. Turning the focus from our habitual thinking to just doing the activity, holding the book, reading, chanting the words, becoming completely empty of our small self, only chanting. This way, we go beyond our small self, beyond our personal motivations or ideas, and by doing that, our minds will open. Our minds will become free from our habitual tendencies, from the grip of our ego, and it will open up to something that's not personal but universal. It will open up to something that has neither desire nor aversion. And doing this kind of practice, we sacrifice the small self for the big self, the wave for the ocean. And it's not a violent act. We don't force ourselves to turn off our thinking and only chant. We are completely there in this situation, holding the book, chanting, thoughts arising, witnessing them, but we let them go and reorient ourselves just to the chanting. We don't fight these thoughts, we just witness them. Just standing there, chanting, we will make mistakes. We will think many thoughts, we have many feelings, and we don't deny them. We stand there as we are, with all our imperfections, but we don't get stuck in them. We let them be, and we reorient ourselves towards something that's beyond it all. We use the chanting to make ourselves sacred. And we don't have to chant to do this. Whenever we do something, let's say we wash the dishes, we do it fully. We don't get stuck in our thinking about how uninteresting washing the dishes is, but we see it as a sacred ritual But we also don't see it as something we can gain anything from either, because this motivation would belong to the small self. Just washing the dishes, sacrificing oneself completely to only do what we are doing. When washing, only wash. When walking, only walk. When eating, only eat. Some Zen master once said that Zen is not like peeling an orange and thinking about the Buddha when we do it, but about peeling an orange and only peeling an orange. Everything else is just a motivation from our small self. The small self that has to die in this process, that has to give itself to the activity 100% without holding anything back. And when you do something, you just do that. That's the meaning of sacrifice. The small self dying to the big self. Alright, I hope this was helpful. If you liked it, please support me, please consider following this account and subscribe to my free newsletter for more insights. I wish you all the best on your path. Your friend of the way. Bye.